Live from the Pro Copy Studio, in Perth, Western Australia, it's time for this week's Wine and Cheese.
Hi everybody, thanks for joining us again for another Wine and Cheese. How's your week been?
Good. Had a few of these.
Have you?
Tonight.
We've got a few, haven't we? We're
We're
going for sponsorship on that one.
It's about time they... Who are they? Riverside Landing.
Who are they?
Riverside Landing is about time you answered his emails.
Yeah, we drink them by choice.
We do. It's not a bad drop, actually.
It's not a bad drop for $4 a bottle.
Might enjoy it.
Anyway, we had a win last week, which we didn't have time to talk about.
We, as in the royal we, or...?
As in West Australia.
Okay.
We had a win against the cane toad. The High Court, the Federal Court, assessed all the evidence from West Australia, Clive Palmer and the Federal Government. All submissions by Clive Palmer and the Liberal Party were rejected. The Federal Court looked at all other options to protect the WA community and determined that they were less effective at preventing COVID-19 in West Australia. The judge agreed with West Australia that a precautionary approach should be taken as the health consequences could be potentially catastrophic for our community. Even though West Australia was up against Clive Palmer and the Liberal Party, our approach has been endorsed by the Federal Court. It's now time for Clive Palmer to end this madness once and for all. Clive Palmer should withdraw his High Court challenge now, and Mark McGowan says thank you to every West Australian who has supported our case and the measures to protect the community. It's a significant win for the state. Now, Clive Palmer, being the petulant child that he is, said, well, I'm not happy with that. So he's now suing Mark McGowan and the Attorney General, John Quigley.
Because he didn't get his way.
Because he didn't get his way. And so the government now are looking at getting him branded, would be the word, I'm not sure,
vexatious litigant
as a vexatious litigant, because the man sues everybody for everything. If the wind's blowing the wrong way, he sues the weather department.
Are you sure about that, Phil?
That's not quite true, but anyway.
Well, let's see what happens in episode 47 of Clive versus WA then.
It's getting a bit much, isn't it?
Yeah, that'd be a bit of fun. So, what next?
Next, it is time for George.
Oh, George got some more tips for us?
Of course. The man is full of wisdom.
Hello, George.
Take it away, George. Thanks, mate.
Thanks, Mark and Phil. I actually want to talk to everyone today about whining. The show is Wine and Cheese, but let me explain something. Whining is actually good for you, but you need to do it well. Whining is a way of you expressing what's not right in your life that should be improved. But if we judge whining, oh, that person's whining, we end up losing our voice for the things we want different in our life, and we end up just sucking it up and suppressing, and eventually we end up, those pressure cookers that blow up. So to avoid that, I guess really the best thing to do is learn how to whine well. Makes sense, doesn't it? So let me explain that whining should have the tone of believing there's a better way. That means when you're whining, you're coming from a place of belief and optimism that something can change. Whining from a place of feeling defeated is draining. So all you're really doing is expressing your problems, but from a place where you believe nothing will ever change. That's bad whining. Don't do that whining. Do the other whining. The other thing is, when you whine, you want to bring in the facts, give it some good credibility. That way, when you're whining, it's a constructive conversation that you're creating with people. And finally, is when you're whining, check in with the other person. Make sure they've got their headspace to take on that level of challenge, because some people could be in a bad mood, they've had a bad day, they feel overwhelmed, and you may be accidentally tipping them over the edge. So tune in, use your intuition, your observation to only whine to the people that are ready to have a good, robust conversation. Anyway, thank you, and back over to you, Mark and Phil.
Now, we spoke about this last week, that you met with the Minister...
Yeah, Dean Nelder.
Yeah,
as a follow-up from the meeting I had with Lisa Baker.
Yep.
So, you know...
And what did he have to say?
What we're trying to do, Phil, is get the cause of the events industry higher profile than it's had. You know, we all know that it's suffering and still suffering. You know,
well, Lisa Baker didn't actually have much of an idea, did she? Until you pointed things out, she was sort of aware.
Yeah.
But until you pointed things out, it's the pyramid thing yet again. That it's not just the person on stage. Yeah. Underneath that is lighting, sound. Underneath that is your venue staff. Underneath that, it goes all the way down to travel agencies and hotels. It goes the whole way.
There's a massive infrastructure underneath pretty much every event, you know. And there's a lot of those people, their roles are hidden from the government.
Exactly.
They just don't know how many people are impacted. And, you know, some artists, for example, are now coming back and doing performances, but the number of shows they are doing is substantially less than what they were. Plus, they're expected to perform for less than what they were getting before. So, yeah, they're out there doing it, which is giving this false idea of, things are coming back to normal. Far from it. So I had a chat with Dean Nelder as well about a couple of things, and I'm still working through those. I've got another meeting tomorrow with somebody to go further, and hopefully some of our cause will go to the federal small business minister now.
Now, what you were saying was that we don't seem to have a governing body for the entertainment industry, and that needs to be formed because places like Wham are not doing what they were set up to do. Something needs to be set up that you can then statistically go to a minister and say,
this is the effect.
This is the effect, because they need something that's tangible. They can't argue in Parliament about something without statistics.
Yeah, and this is a major issue. The entertainment industry, the events industry, has always, by its nature, been very fragmented. If you can't get figures from people that are out of work, or they're doing less work than they were, and let's face it, a lot of them didn't have ABN numbers, so you can't even go to the Bureau of Statistics and get figures.
And
they're
musos don't
anyway.
work 9 to 5, so the job seeker didn't work for them either.
There's some that got it because they were set up as a business structure, some didn't get it, and some, you know, may have got it late and things like that. So there's a big problem within the events industry, and let's face it, it's not just music, it's dance shows, it's school concerts, it's all that. There's a lot of different areas where people are involved in putting on events.
Well, my niece, Amber, went to her high school ball, and something that occurred to me was limousine drivers would have been out of work, and those cars cost a lot of money, and they need to make their payments on them. And if high school balls are cancelled, where's their income?
I mean, I'm yet to hear whether, I'm yet to hear whether Fringe Festival is going to be on next year, whether the Perth International Arts Festival is going to be on. There's already the Falls
they cancelled
concert got cancelled. And I have heard through people that hire equipment to venues, they're getting cancellations all the time for government-based things that would normally happen. Outdoor events and things like that are being cancelled left, right and centre. Australia Day events already going into next year. There's
NAIDOC week
are all being cancelled. So the prospects for the events industry going forward are pretty dire. And
with the hard border closure, the National Cabinet met today with the Prime Minister and all the premiers of the states. For those of you not in Australia, that's how we work here. And Mark McGowan has stood his ground and said, I'm not committing to a date to open these borders. But the fact is, we're not going to get acts coming in from interstate.
Yeah, or internationally.
Well,
So-
international's out till next year.
I mean, so
at the least.
my biggest fear is that we're being prevented from working. We're being prevented from, our clients are being prevented from working. So who covers the bills? You know, it's all well and good to say, yeah, we've taken the handbrake off now and you can work in limited resources, but there's accumulated debt. And there's other issues going forward. So hopefully the government, and this is where the uncertainty is playing on people's minds, the uncertainty out there is pretty unfair. It's all well and good to say, yeah, we're going to keep the borders closed. But if you're going to keep the borders closed, there's ramifications that come with that and obligations that come with that. Close the border, pay our bills.
Yeah.
You know, otherwise you open up the borders, there's nobody left to do the work.
Yeah.
And that's going to be pretty dire. Yeah.
Indeed. Okay, so the gig guide this week, there's not a big amount this week that we've come across, and people
Well, there's a
haven't
few
let
on
us
tonight,
know.
so they'll already
There
be
are a few on tonight, and
underway,
there's no
and
point
most
us
of them are
plugging
sold out.
those because
I mean, that's the one good thing with the limited numbers.
yeah, but if you're only allowed 100 people at the Charles, that's not going to pay anybody.
Yeah. At the end of the day,
Yet again, the musos are doing it for the love of it.
Yeah, it's a bit tiring, isn't it, mate? So the Hayes Show Band is at the Cummins Theatre in Merredin, Saturday the 12th.
Okay.
That'll be a great show.
Yeah.
That'll be a lot of fun.
Brilliant.
And
Merredin's a great town.
Might even hear the odd joke that Rod has to say.
I'm sure he's got a few.
He's got
And
plenty.
I listened to the Uluru CD
Oh, yeah.
in the car the other night, and absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh man, he's done a brilliant job
Yeah.
on that. For somebody that woke up at 4 a.m. and said to his wife, I've got to write something down.
Yeah.
And went and composed that. It was like, whoa,
Yeah. Yeah.
amazing. Darren Reed, Empire State of Mind, that's on tonight. You might have time still to get down there. The concert for Slim, Jamie McCanty's on tomorrow. It's on tonight because of the extra tickets, but it's also tomorrow.
Yeah.
And
We'll
we'll
be
be
there.
going to that, and we'll grab some footage for you folks so we can show you next week how it all went. Coming soon, the Woodvale Tavern and Reception Centre on the 10th of the 10th. Rosie O'Grady's Perth, Sunday Super Long Weekend session at the Elephant and Wheelbarrow Reunion the 27th of September. So that's Darren Reed, Soul City Groove and all the other stuff he does. That guy doesn't stop.
Yeah, I know.
He's
It's like the
amazing.
Energizer Bunny, isn't he?
Most definitely.
You don't have to start a video over. You just. Alright, yeah, I know that one.
Joining this week is Mr. Brenton Fosdike. You'll have seen him around town. He's a man about town. Many shows that you'll have seen, the Diamond Cut show, and also Joe Cocker. And he's been in bands for many, many moons. Great guitarist, great vocalist, good jazz vocalist. I've heard you.
Not often known.
Not often known. So Brenton's joined us this week for a quick chat and maybe a song or two later on.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. How you been?
I'm good.
What have you been doing during all this time?
Well, I've got a broken finger.
How did you do that?
I fell over the last gig the Neil Diamond Show did in February. I tripped on one of the paths. We were out at El Caballo Blanco. Some of you might remember it. And it's like one of those abandoned places. And I hit the path and went flying through the air.
Oh my God.
And the end product was that the thing that never healed was my finger. And so I've been going through. I've still got another 6 weeks of treatment on this one.
Wow.
Was it operated on?
No, my surgeon says he's trying not to operate on it.
Okay.
Mainly because he likes me.
You sure you didn't?
And as a guitarist, that could be risky.
Yeah, so I can't do. And I had plans over COVID to learn a whole new style of picking, and of course I can't use it. So it's.
Oh, bugger.
But I can strum. I'm going to strum tonight.
Oh,
And,
great.
Fantastic.
You didn't trip over a penguin by any chance, did you?
Well, I brought him from home actually. He's just hanging around the
He's
house.
beautiful. He's getting on really well with Spot.
Yeah.
He's
giving him
Spot's
the back,
had a
he's
bit
giving
of a
him the back,
sniff.
like a cat. He's giving him the back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
think he
Ignoring
wants-
him.
He wants
yeah.
my wine. A bit of wine.
Nice. There's
he's a
something
nice-
really elegant about penguins, isn't there?
There is.
Gee, I love him.
Yeah. Yeah, there is. There's who's written a song about penguins? Used to marry Julia Roberts.
Mr. Roberts?
No, Mr. Roberts. No.
Oh, what's his face? What's his face?
Yeah, he's slightly crooked mouth. Brilliant musician.
Oh.
Looking towards the gallery, but no
the
help
gallery.
from there.
No, they're
No,
hopeless,
it'll
mate.
come
You
back.
can't rely
It'll
on
come
them.
back. Don't worry, it'll come back to me. There's many things because I'm almost hitting 70. You see.
No way.
So the brain. Oh, I'm glad you said that. He's good. He's good. Yeah. No, I am. I'm about 5 February. So what's that? 5 months away.
Wow.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Gosh,
That's
big
really
party.
amazing because when you do your shows, I've seen them and
I use both legs.
mate, you put a lot of effort in.
Yeah.
You really do. You almost channel these people.
Strange you should say that. Yes.
And,
Yeah, well,
and
well,
it's
that's
not
good
just
stuff.
an impersonation of Neil Diamond, who I love, and Joe Cocker. You, I don't know, you put your slant on it, and it's just really, really good. It's a brilliant show.
Well, I've you know, on a serious note, I've hung around a lot of actors who taught me a few things, and I took it in. You know, I'd say to them, "What do you do?" And there's a bloke here called Noel O'Neill from America, and he's a playwright and an actor. And you know, he's taught me. He's said, "Hey, you need to do this. You need to do that. You need to watch that." And so I've watched hundreds of hours of these artists.
Yeah.
Everything I can get my hands on.
Yeah.
And you watch, and not to become them, but to give enough of an idea so people go, "Oh yeah, that's what they do." Like Neil Diamond rarely holds a microphone in his left hand.
Right.
Once a blue moon, and I think it's because he reaches for something. But
Right.
generally, you'll see his microphone's always in his right hand most of the time.
So it's just little.
So those things. I mean,
nuances,
the audience. I guess the audience, but I think it's part of me getting into that. Okay, so that's what he does.
Mhm.
Yeah. and-
How long does it take you to prepare to get into character before you go on stage? Because some actors take hours.
Yeah, for
Some
me,
can walk onto a stage and do it straight away.
Yeah.
How long do you take?
20 minutes.
Right, because
Yeah.
you've done it for
And
so
and
long.
because you have to. There's
Yeah.
no, most places don't have a real green room. You know, you've got that. People come in and go, are you meant to be in here? So, you sort of go, oh,
I've had that in my theatre days with a few famous people that have walked in and gone, "And who are you?"
Yeah, you're right.
It's like, "I'm the lighting guy." Who the fuck are you?
Yeah, right, yeah. I mean,
Oh, sorry, Marsha Hines.
Yeah. Oh, Marsha. There's a story there, but I can't tell it.
I got a good one with her.
Yeah.
I was Martin Shaw
Yes.
from The Professionals, as we know him, Judge Roy Dredd or whatever that show was. He's done hundreds of shit, including Coronation Street.
Yeah.
But I was 18 in 1987, and I was Martin Shaw's personal assistant when he came to Adelaide to do a show. He played Elvis, the last 2 days of Elvis's life, and Marsha was in the show, and her and I just hit it off, you know, and so Martin didn't like crowds and the general public, and so the producers of the show had to had to hire nightclubs for us to go to, you know. And Marsha one night comes up to me at the Foot Club in Hindley Street and says, "Come and dance with me, Phil." I was like, "Fuck, all right." I danced with the Queen of Australian Pop for 4 hours. Was my girlfriend pissed off? It was like, "Sorry, darling, I'm going with Marsha." But I found her a really, really lovely lady. Yeah, she's really genuine.
I had we were on the same bill a couple of times, and she liked the coat I was wearing. I had this light blue suede sort of battle jacket type thing that had all Indian beads all over it, you know, that sort of thing. And she went, "Like your coat, honey." That was me and Marsha. Yeah, that's the story.
So, at the moment, everybody's been going through all of this COVID thing, and you know, through one way or another,
gigs are few and far between. Yeah,
it's really kind of pared back a bit. Have you plans for the shows that you're doing? Are you going to revamp stuff? Are you writing a new take on what you're doing?
Sure. Yeah. So I've had it gives you space. It gives your brain space rather than getting ready for the next gig, which is, you know, so that's sort of valuable. And I've sort of thought about, because being a professional, you know, I've been in the industry 51, almost 52 years now.
Wow.
You know, we're making it my living, and so you tend to become a musical prostitute, you know, to make a living, to bring up a family. So somebody says play Eagle Rock, and you play Eagle Rock, you know, and you churn out and occasionally you do
William
an original
Shatner
thing.
says that. He says, "I'm a working actor. I had kids to feed, so yes, I know I did some shit roles."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's okay, you know. It's like, and people say to me, "I bet you get sick of doing the push bike song, you know, from the mixtures days." And I go, "Well, you know, like it wasn't my song, but I joined the band." And it provided me with, you know, almost 9 years of a living.
Yeah, security.
And every time I play it, I go, great, you know, like, and I'm very thankful to the guys who wrote it. And
do you still get royalties?
Yeah. Well, they get the writers really get the royalties. Right. But these days, I don't know, the royalty things.
It's all
you
gone.
know, I've noticed my few songs that I've written, the royalties thing has sort of dropped off. Yeah. You can't. And even though they say, oh, you know, I know the younger guys go, "Isn't it great? I had 1,000 hits or 1,000,000 hits or something." Their percentage from those hits really
$12 a year.
$12 a year. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Where you could make a living.
Yeah, you know. Steve Winwood was a great example, wasn't it? On Spotify, was it that?
Yeah, I think it was Spotify,
it earned Spotify
25 million streams he got, and ended up with a check
for $1,700.
Yeah, it's
if he'd sold 25 million LPs or CDs or whatever, if he only made $1 a piece, there's 25 million.
Yeah.
The whole maths around the industry now is just plummeted, and
it is.
Where's the security going forward? It's tragic when you see so many good kids coming out of places like Whopper.
Yep.
Ab Music, all of these places that you've got people studying and are excellent quality musicians, and you look at them and you think, how are you going to make a living going forward?
Yeah.
You know, they can't all be teachers.
Yeah, well, look, I think, you know, I came through the best period. I started off in the late 60s, and we survived that to come into the 70s, where you could make, you know, I think in Perth, I've got the original Musicians Union books,
right?
And you see how many professional musicians came in this town.
Yeah.
I found them, by the way. I found them in a second-hand shop. So if your dad was a musician, I've probably got his name, paying 2 and 3pence to be a.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm wondering what to do with them. I might have suggestions, please.
Give them to the Batty Library.
Yeah, well, I've got all the letters between Sue Bluck and Charlie Court.
Right.
There's backwards and forwards because there was the
Wow.
1-for-1 policy, all that sort of thing. Anyway, I've got
Harry's
all that.
lucky.
Give them to the
Harry Luck,
Batty Library.
Was
Yeah.
it? Just hold on a second.
Yeah, so Sue was in yesterday, obviously.
Give them to the Batty Library. Preserve
The
them.
Batty, yeah, well, there is that, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
You won't get paid for them.
no, well, I don't expect to. You know, they cost me $60. Princely sum. I don't know what
It's
they
something
would-
we've talked about when it comes to the profile show and getting funding for that is that are we too young a nation to value our history?
Yeah, there's the question. You know, so you go. You know, I was thinking about in the States. You know, I
Because
talk
it's
to
oral
people and say,
histories.
how often do you go out and see a band? And they go, oh, at least 3 nights a week. And
Ah.
I talk to a young guy and I go, oh, well, I'm interested in what do you know, and he obviously looks like he's into rap or something. And I'll say, oh, where can you hear some country music? Oh, you can hear some great country music down there. You can hear this down there. It's not really part of our culture. I mean,
No.
we're a sort of well, I'm a dinosaur in my business, you know. But, and I think we went through a good period of time for me.
I think
where
the
we got lots of
70s,
money.
80s was definitely
Fabulous, you
a,
know.
a brilliant opportunity to see music here. You could go out 5, 6 nights. You could go every night.
Yeah, you could. 7
and
nights a
you
week.
could see some entertainment, whether it was a pub show or a club later on or whatever. There was a vast amount of stuff going on.
Huge, yeah.
I'm actually doing, in conjunction with ECU, a survey
Yeah.
on the buying habits of kids in respect to events and entertainment.
Oh, right, okay.
So
Interesting.
where does it now sit in the strata of things that they could spend their money
Yeah.
on? Where are they going to travel to? How far will they travel? Given that there's the drink driving laws and all of these other
Yeah.
things that impinge on the business now of entertainment. So it'll be interesting. We've started. There's a couple of really engaged students working on it. Next week we've got a follow-up meeting to go through their preliminary findings.
Yeah, right, okay.
So it's going to be quite
Interesting.
fascinating because
Yeah.
I see it with my own kids. I see it with their friends and stuff like that, and they are very choosy where they spend their money.
Yeah.
And like everybody at the moment, they've got limited amounts of money to spend on entertainment. And so it's going to be quite fascinating to see what priorities music
Yeah.
has now, because that impacts on everybody.
Sure.
And how do we get
And that's-
more music out to them?
It's that value of the arts in general, you know, which I don't know that definitely our politicians don't really get. I mean, we've been moved down into industry or something.
Oil and gas.
Oil
or
and
something,
gas.
I don't know.
And-
it's just out the back door,
And
isn't
you
it,
think
really?
of we realise, I heard you saying before, you know, the numbers of people that are employed in our industry. It's not just the guy stands up there and it starts with somebody writing a song. Really, somebody writes a song, then performs it, and then and you need all of that stuff around it, and it's a vital part of our. And of course, we export it.
Yeah.
We import stuff. You know, there's this
There's export dollars, there's shows.
huge amounts of dollars. And
Late last year, I went across with my wife to Melbourne to see the Harry Potter show at the Princess Theatre in Melbourne, and that is a world-class production. It is amazing, from the theatre to the sound to the lighting, the staging, the whole crew. It's a well-oiled machine.
yeah.
A stack of people involved. Of course, they're all sitting at home twiddling their thumbs.
Of course,
the people
yeah.
that put the show on actually had a lease on the Princess Theatre for 5 years because they knew the show would last, approximately 5 years. And it was completely redecorated for this Harry Potter theatre show. So what are they doing? I mean, they can't have 9 months in Melbourne with no performances.
Yeah.
What happened to all the money, all the people that were employed to do it?
And there's only so many TAFE teachers.
That's it.
That's very true, isn't it? Who are some of the famous people you've worked with through your career? You've had an amazing career, and those that don't know this, we'll put the link in the description of this video to Brenton's profile interview. You've had an amazing career, man.
I've been very lucky, very lucky.
Yeah.
One is I started at the right time.
Yeah.
You know, and really not knowing what I was doing. There was a plan that I became an archaeologist, but it was so easy to be in rock, to be in music, you know. And I was just lucky, and I started off with a band called the Young Brass, Brendan Darby, and eventually Roy Daniels, and a whole stack of, you know, Clive Hodson, Greg Schultz, a lot of people in Western Australia here. Actually, I started my career in Melbourne with singing up in front of Izzy Dye's band, you know, the Melbourne Town Hall one night. You know, that was my start. And I hung out with a lot of the guys because there were a lot of. I'm an Air Force brat, so there were a lot of Air Force brats. Some of the guys from Skyhooks and stuff. So there was this.
Wow,
this
Shirley
melding.
Strawn.
Yeah.
He was my uncle.
And yeah, oh okay.
Well,
Well, you're
he
South
wasn't
Australian.
really.
He wasn't really. He's got the
He was
same name.
Same name. I was South Australian,
I
but
was
yes.
drawing the short straw then.
Sure.
Okay. Sorry, mate. So, are you South Australian? I heard you.
I was
mentioning-
born in England, but yeah, we
Yeah,
moved
you're
to
South-
Adelaide
okay,
when I was
yeah, well,
5.
everybody
Yeah.
came from South Australia. Came
Yeah.
From
I didn't come from Whyalla.
Indigenous. Oh, right. Oh, I was playing
So
in
many
the mixtures.
people
We were
did,
playing
hey?
at the Whyalla pub
Yeah.
one night, and this guy came up to me and he went, with the red hair, you know, like, and he came up and said, "Here, do you know any Rory Gallagher?" Like that, you know. And I went, "Oh, actually, I used to play in this band with Dave Holland. We met Rory Gallagher and everything, and he came out and stayed at my place." And he went, "You knew Rory Gallagher shit," and his head went back like that, and I ran, and I got inside the band room and locked the door. I knew I was going to be in trouble, you know. Like,
Wow.
Yeah, that was
But you touched on something interesting. I think I was probably about 9 or 10 when I started guitar lessons and things like that.
You had
And you
lessons?
oh, yeah.
You're a rich family.
Oh, yeah. At the Perth Guitar School on Wellington Street. I think Cliff Linton's dad might have had something to do with it, maybe.
Really?
Many moons ago. I think my teacher was Pam something or other. And but back in those days when you were looking at music, you kind of got involved in music because you were interested in it.
Yeah.
And then it kind of morphed into something else. And then it morphed into, well, let's get together and play a couple of songs with some mates. Then all of a sudden you're going, well, let's hire somewhere and put on a show.
Yeah.
And then you kind of hooked into the thing, isn't it? There wasn't a deliberate career path necessarily
No,
to
yeah.
go,
It
oh,
would
well,
never
I'm
have been
interested
a
in this,
career
I'll go
path.
out and make
Yeah,
money
I think
from
that's the story. For me, I had people like my granddad had played the bones, you know, which is the spoons really, but which I've got my granddad's bones,
wow.
which you know,
Wow.
check it.
The bones
and
and the
they had
bones.
the boater hat
friend of mine
and
used
the
to play
stripe
them.
thing, which I've got also. This is from the 18, you know, 18.
Yeah, a friend of mine plays the spoons.
Yeah, and so he'd played professionally for a short while before he came to Australia, and on my mum's side there was my auntie and uncle. They owned 3 ballrooms in Adelaide and had 3 big bands there. And my auntie was the first lady to play 5KA. They started in a lounge room, and
Wow.
and she was what they called the chef lady. People would ring up and say, "Could you play Daisy Dotes and Mosey Dotes?" And she'd go, "Daisy Dotes and Mosey Dotes," and she'd play. But they all dressed up in the lounge room.
Yes.
Give it the feel, and that's how
Yes.
5KA, the first radio station in Adelaide, started. And so we'd go
But
around.
Graham Kennedy and Bert Newton were wearing tuxedos
course.
doing radio.
Yeah, of course, radio. Yeah, my mum. was
Because
big.
it puts you in that mindset.
So, Graham Kennedy, when you see, if you look, occasionally you see this woman sitting there with a little boy in the audience. Me.
Really?
Yeah. My mum
Wow.
used to take me 3 nights a week to see Graham Kennedy.
Wow.
At least 3 nights a week. And when I got to meet Graham, I said to Graham, "Do you remember a red-headed lady sitting with a little boy?" He went, "Yeah, I wonder what happened to that kid. He's probably screwed up." And I went, "Well, what's me, you know?" And of course he went, "Oh, yeah, right." But yeah, so I was
Wow.
brought up on that show business sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I expected to be on stage. Even though I was going to be an
You knew
archaeologist,
that's
I
where you were
expected-
going. Yeah.
So I used to play at being on stage.
So you went from rocks to rock and roll.
I went from rock to rock and roll, yeah.
That's
And so you'd go
amazing.
around to my auntie's place, and after lunch, you'd all have to sit around. She had the big Wurlitzer, you know, and everybody had to sing. That's what you did, you know.
Wow.
So there was an expectation of performance and singing, and she'd say to me, and my mum played piano and stuff. So there was this expectation. She'd go, "Oh, when you go on stage, you know, you leave everything else behind. You walk on stage and da da da, you know."
Wow.
Show must go on.
That's
All those
amazing.
old things, which Sinatra and all those characters, you know,
Yeah.
Frank wouldn't go on
the
stage
crooners.
in the pants that he'd sort of, you know, the last thing he did was pull his pants on, so there was no crease here.
Right.
All those little touches
Oh,
of,
wow.
Yeah.
of professionalism, you know.
Yeah.
And you see it when you go to the States, you know, you see that sort of when they're doing those big, Americans do those shows so great.
So well.
Yeah.
They don't muck around with it.
Yeah.
The,
Here in Australia,
the
it's still-
dancers.
Yeah.
When I was living in San Francisco and I went to see a couple of shows there, even though they were what you'd call amateur shows, they were earning money from it, but they were, you know, they weren't kind of on Broadway or anything. The quality of the dancers and things like that, you look at it and you go, they all move together, you know, and there's no laziness in the performance, it's right there. And they just do, particularly that kind of jazz type dance stuff, they do that remarkably well.
Oh, yeah, it's sensational.
So what famous people have you performed
famous
with and
people.
stuff? Yeah. I'm just interested.
Okay,
in
so
that, of stuff you
with,
can tell
with
us
the Saab,
about
we backed John Farnham.
Uh-huh.
Matter of fact, I think Daryl Sample was his manager, and I think he was interested because we were young boys too. He was interested in us backing him. Matter of fact,
Backing.
backing.
Keyword.
Backing. And there was Daryl Sample and who else was on the bill? Oh, Mal.
Not Stevie Ray.
No.
Umamamau.
Come on. Trying to cover up for Russell.
Russell
Morris, of course.
Morris.
Yeah, Russell.
Friday
was,
night.
Good on you,
So
Gordo.
that's the first time I sort of backed. The first person I backed was at the Latin Quarter, and it was Ricky May.
He was a great
He was
guy.
sensational. Ricky
Lovely
was-
guy.
And he must have looked at us guys. Rick Whittle's about 14 or 15, and
octopus.
he must have looked at us and gone, "Oh, kids! They've given me kids to back me, you know."
Yeah.
And he guided us through. He was fantastic. He guided us through the show.
Fantastic.
He had brilliant timing, didn't he?
Oh, Ricky was sensational.
Like so many of those people, like a Frank Sinatra or a Dean Martin or a Sammy Davis. You just
Well,
look at
Dave
what they
Brubeck
do.
actually said he was the greatest singer, jazz singer in the world
Wow.
at the time.
Really?
Yeah, actually. said that.
Wow. He
Ricky-
was so
Ricky-
natural,
He
wasn't
had perfect pitch.
Yeah, I remember as a
Work
kid
with me,
watching
boys,
him
work
on
with
the Mike Walsh show and things like
Yeah,
that, and
yeah.
he was always just perfect. As a TV producer, you could bank on him for being perfect
I have
every
I have
time.
Ricky May film footage from the only club gig that
Wow.
was ever filmed at, which was found by John Pochet in a
You got to bring it in so we can convert it and put it up.
One day.
That'd be good.
It's going to take him months to get through the house with everything that he's collected.
Yeah.
You wait till you come.
Mate, we got to bring some cameras to your house and just go through your stuff.
I think it's Brenton's place and Peter Harry's.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I'm nowhere near Peter Harris.
Did
No,
you didn't go to Peter's 85th the other week?
Peter's, yeah.
Yeah.
Did he bring his coffin out?
I'm
No,
not sure.
I've tried that out.
Have you?
Oh yeah.
That's spooky.
No, it's all right. Yeah. The Buddhists say, practice dying and then you can live.
Oh,
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That is a good point.
they
So-
practice every day.
Well, look,
So a little known thing about me, I used to work as a marriage guidance counsellor, and I was a marriage guidance counsellor.
I heard that, and I thought about it, and I thought,
Imagine having
Brenton?
me. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, me. Yeah,
You'd have
good
too
way of
many
getting paid while
laughs.
you worked yourself out. That's good.
Yeah.
And what was I going to tell you about that? I can't remember.
Oh, come on.
You were
So
a
that
marriage
blank-
guidance counsellor.
I was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I can't remember. It's the penguin. He sucks my brain. Stop it.
It's the way they look at you. Spot does the
No.
same.
He hangs outside the back door and he just looks at us. And, can I come in?
And you
Yeah.
go, no, stay out there. You're
Cat
used to
hates
the
him,
cold.
The cat hates him.
Hates him.
I can imagine the cat. The cat would be very.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cats
doesn't-
are like
doesn't-
that,
doesn't
aren't
like
they?
him.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Mate, thanks for coming in.
my pleasure.
And you're going to do a couple of songs for us.
I'm going to do a couple.
We're just going to cross to the Jordan report for this week, and Jason's a bit sick this week. He went to Dunsborough and ate something a bit dodgy.
Probably a done.
So, so he's given us a video that we're going to just play a little bit of, but next week he's going to come in to the studio and talk to us about medical marijuana.
That'll be an exciting episode, actually. He's got a lot to say. Very well researched is Jason, in case you haven't
he's
seen
an
any
expert.
of his things on Facebook and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He's very passionate about this cause, and he's been helping a lot of people, and hopefully going forward it'll help a lot more people.
Yeah, and I've got to tell you that I've invested in it. No, I have.
Well,
I have actually. I have.
I'm just
shares
hoping
in
he
a
brings
couple
some
of American
samples.
companies.
Yeah,
I think it's.
Yeah, definitely. It
very good.
I'll look at for inflammation, for cancer, for anorexia, for MS, for Parkinson's. It's like this country really needs to grow up. You know, Colorado was the first American state to legalize it about 5 years ago, and from the sale of it, they put $90 million into hospitals and schools.
There you go.
You know, it's like, why is this herb classed as an A1 drug?
Yeah.
And that goes all back to the history of the Rockefellers and
Absolutely,
JP Morgan and all of that, buying the cotton mills as opposed to the hemp mills and all of that shit, and we'll get to the bottom of it.
We've been giving it to the mother-in-law, and her disposition has changed for the better. I tell you.
She's a lot more chill.
Oh, she's wonderful now.
Does she know?
Thanks, mate. Thanks for coming in, and thanks for the songs.
Hello. I'm not going to use a microphone. I assume you can hear me up the back? What? Well done. Screen's black at the moment. It's because I just want to make a disclaimer before I start. The people you've heard so far tonight, and what you will continue to hear, are professionals. I'm not. I'm an unprofessional. I'm a patient. I'm a patient advocate. I was the first prescribed patient for medical cannabis for multiple sclerosis in Western Australia. And that's the reason why I'm here tonight, because I want to show you some stuff. My name's Jason. I'm brain damaged because I've got multiple sclerosis. I used to be the CEO of an IT company, a rather large one, but things changed after I got my MS. I say after I got it, I probably had it for a lot longer than I realised, but it got worse. Multiple sclerosis. You guys, I mean, you're health professionals. I assume most of you have got a fair idea of what multiple sclerosis is. A progressive, degenerative neurological condition. And in the main, people who get it get worse and worse and worse. And it generally starts off in this first stage, relapsing remitting. You get a little bit sick and you get better. And then it moves to the second stage, secondary progressive, and you get some symptoms and they sort of go away, but they don't really go away. Some of them stick around. And then you get to the final stage, which is the fun stage, which is called primary progressive. And that's where, when you get symptoms, they stick with you, and it might be paralysis. The thing with multiple sclerosis, because it affects your nervous system, it can manifest in many different ways. Numbness and paralysis and loss of balance and permanent nausea and blindness and deafness. The list is endless. Anything that your nerves are responsible for can be damaged in some way, shape or form. So it affects many people in many different ways. That's an MRI of my brain. We're getting intimate here. You've now all seen inside me. It's lovely. Can anybody identify something about that MRI that shouldn't be there? Hey, perfect. Those white spots are not meant to be there. They're what we call lesions, multiple sclerosis, mini sclerosis scarring. So that's scarring. They're areas of my brain that have been permanently damaged and they're unlikely to ever be recovered by anything, by any sort of treatment. It's progressive. It's chronic. I'm only going to get worse.
Thanks to Gordo, our floor manager tonight, for getting us through this.
It's been tough.
He's a tough man, but he can count to three really well. count down from 3 really well, which is
I
even
thought that
cleverer.
middle finger meant something else, not 3.
Ooh, we'll have to look into that. Anyway, we just wanted to say about a friend of ours.
Yeah, unfortunately this week, and we lost a great musician around Perth. In fact, there was 2, Pete Lizowich and John Meyer. John has been a customer of ours at ProCopy for many, many years, and before that, when I was a service tech at Cosmic back in the late 70s, I know that he worked in the industry before that, but that was my first exposure to him, would have been around about 78, 79. Always been a great guy, brilliant musician, good friend to many people, and will be sadly lost. Will be sadly missed.
Yeah. I only met him when we did the profile episode on him, and I recommend people go and look that up. We'll put it in the description, the link to it. A really humble guy, really down-to-earth guy, really nice guy.
Yeah. So hopefully many people this weekend will celebrate John's life and continue to enjoy his music. I know there was an album in production. It's still to be decided what happens with the latest album.
Okay.
But I do hope that people get to hear it and continue to enjoy his music.
And you know, folks, this is the reason that we did the profile show. We did 106 episodes over 3 years that Al, Gary, Mark and I paid for ourselves to make this happen, to record oral history of our music in Western Australia, and the way it all came together from people that were born in all different places, and a lot of them came from Whyalla, which was weird, but anyway, they got here, and this is the reason that we've done it, you know, because, you know, we've lost Reg, we lost Pecco, Roy Daniel, and
John.
And John now. It's
so,
sad.
Yeah, we'd like to get back doing some more episodes of the profile.
Because
We'll
there's a
work
lot
on
more
that.
people we need to interview and get their oral history down. Because one day we want to take a hard drive to the Batty Library and say, here, this belongs to the people of Western Australia. This isn't ours, it belongs to you, you know? And for young up-and-comers, that's how they're going to learn of how the do's and do nots of the rock and roll industry, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So have a great weekend, folks, and we'll be back with you next week.
And tomorrow night we're off to Jamie's gig at the Charles. They did the first show tonight, and we're going tomorrow, which is going to be fantastic. And as we said earlier, we're going to take a camera along and get a little bit of vision. I'm not recording the whole night, but we'll get a little bit of vision and show you that next week. So now it's with
our guest of honour.
Great gusto. What's the word? Great.
Brasso.
Whatever. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome
Mr. Brenton Fosdike.
Brenton Fosdike. Fozzie, take it away. See you next week.
There you go, baby. Here I am. You left me here to sit. You cry again. Well, golly gee, baby, what you done to me? And I guess it don't matter anymore. You remember last September when held me tight each and every night? Well, golly gee, baby, what you done to me? Well, I guess it don't matter anymore. There's no use in me just crying. I've done everything and now I'm sick of trying. Throw away my nights, I've wasted all my days over you. Well, you go your way and I go mine, now and forever till the end of time. We'll find somebody new, yeah. We'll say we're through and then guess it don't matter anymore. Guess it don't matter anymore. Guess it don't matter. I won't tell you, baby, now. I'm gonna tell you what I wanna do. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you right now. Yeah, gotta get in the mood a bit. Yeah, I don't want you, don't wanna stay here, don't wanna spend another day here. Whoa, I just can't split, I wanna quit. You really gotta hold on me. Oh yeah, hey. Yeah, I don't want you, yeah, but I need you. Don't wanna kiss you, but I need you. Whoa, whoa, whoa. You got me wrong, I love you strong now. You really got a hold on me. Yeah, really got a hold on me. Yeah, now I love you. All I want you to do is just hold me, hold me, hold me, hold me. Yeah, and I want you to snuggle up real close and just, ooh, love me, baby, now. Yeah. You got that one, sister? Yeah, I don't want to love you, don't want to love you now. Yeah, no, baby, heaven's right above you. Say, whoa, 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 you drive me crazy. Yeah, I'm just lazy, really got a hold on me. Yeah, got a hold on me. Saying I love you. All I want you to do is just hold me and squeeze me and kiss me and hold me. I got that feeling that's going good to me now. Yeah. You really got a hold on me. Said, hey, really got a hold on me. Oh, baby, just snuggling up now. Oh, yeah. All right, now. We're just going to fade off into the sunset, little baby. Oh, you keep kissing me now. All right. Really got a hold on me. That's feeling good. And when the night has come, yeah, see the land is dark. Or moon, oh, only light will see. No, I won't be afraid. Yet I won't be afraid. Just as long as you stand by me. Darling, stand by me. Just stand by me. Please won't you stand by me? And whenever I'm in trouble, won't you stand by me? Please won't you stand by me? Stand by me. When that sky you look upon tumble and fall, or a mountain, yeah, crumble to the sea. And no, I won't be afraid. No, I just won't be afraid. Long as you stand by me. Darling, won't you stand by me? Won't you stand by me? Yeah, stand by me. Yeah, won't you stand by me? Whenever I'm in trouble, won't you stand by me? And won't you stand by me? Stand by me, stand by me. Yeah, whenever I'm in trouble, won't you stand by me? Oh Lord, stand by me. Please won't you stand by me? Won't you stand by me? Please won't you now, won't you? And won't you stand by me?